Okay, you guys, good morning. Well, it's morning for me anyways. So our next individual station worksheet, what you're going to do is you're going to grab, there's two papers. I believe I have yours stapled. What you're going to do is take this paper and it's equivalent fractions coloring page. What we are going to do is recognize, if you look down here at the directions, which fractions are equal to 1/2, which are less than 1/2, and which are greater than 1/2. So each different one of these fractions, if you were to simplify it, will fall under one of those categories, and then you will decide what color needs to be shaded. For example, if I'm looking at this one right here, 5/6. Well, I know that half of 6 is 3. This 5 right here is greater than 3. So this fraction must be greater than 1/2. So according down here to the directions, a fraction that's greater 1/2 will be colored green. So I'm going to mark that green just to make sure that I know what I'm coloring it before I actually do, and I can check them. Another example would be this 8/16. Half of 16 is 8, so that means that this 8/16 simplified would be 1/2. So down here it says color fractions equivalent, which means equal to 1/2. I'm going to color those yellow, so I'm going to mark this one Y for yellow. And then once I'm done labeling all of those, I will go back and color those in as long as I have time. You can use your own colors. I have colors available if you need to borrow them, so that's not a big deal. What you're doing on the next page, you're explaining your thinking. So it says choose one fraction from the front and explain how you know that it equals 1/2. So if I go back to the fraction that I said is equal to 1/2, 8/16, I'm going to put here that I know that 1/2 of 16 is 8. Okay? Or maybe you're going to put, if I shade 8 out of 16 squares, if I had a model that is equal to half or 50%, whatever you want to call it, half or 50%. Okay, any sort of explanation. And you only have to pick one. So you're going to choose one that's equal to 1/2, one that's less than 1/2, and one that is greater than 1/2. And you're going to explain to me how you know that. So the next thing you're going to do is you can cut this out. Okay, if you're done coloring it, or even if you're not, you're going to cut this out right along the square. Okay, and you can even cut out the directions and put those in there too. You're going to put those into your math log. So once you cut it out, we should then be putting this page on page C3. Okay, that's going to go here. So again, cut this out. It will go here. It should fit. Okay, you can glue that in. Okay, once I cut out along the square, and you can cut out the directions and put them there. That way you know what you were doing. And then notice that is on page C3. I need to make sure that I put equivalent fractions coloring page in my table of contents for page C3. And I'll go back and do that in just 1 second. And then what you're going to do with the questions is you're going to flip the page over. You're going to cut out your questions and you're going to glue those onto page C4. Okay, so I'm going to cut this out and glue it on to page C4 right there. So again, once I'm done with that, today's date or tomorrow's date is the 15th or 16th, depending on when you're doing it. Page C3 will be equivalent fractions. And then on page C4 is we'll do benchmark, fraction, and just put thinking. Okay, do not forget that during this video you can pause it to start working on your stuff before you move through in case it is moving too fast, okay? So you should be completing both of these pages. Make sure that you put an initial for what color goes first before you actually color them in. And I would like you to get your questions done. If you do not finish at some point, you can fold your paper and put them into your math log, and then sometime this week, if you finish one of your activities early, then you will be able to finish up this one and make sure that it gets glued in there. Okay? Let me know if you guys need any help.